Are you afraid of ghosts? No? How about getting ghosted by an employer during the hiring process? Buckle up as we count down from the strangest to the most infuriating employer ghosting stories we've ever heard on w.r.a.c's Mysteries of the Job Market series. This is a story about how I got played during an interview. I put on a full suit for this video call interview, bottoms too. After the initial interview, the hiring manager said she felt confident about me and would love to move me to the next phase, a project with a presentation. I show up to the presentation, and no one is there but her. She made an excuse as to why no one else can make it, schedule conflicts or something. As soon as I started, she asked if I wouldn't mind if she records the presentation, then she starts recording. I go through the whole presentation, slide deck, notes, the whole nine. A few days go by, and she contacts me saying, "Hey, just to follow up, I was able to share your presentation with some of the others. They were really into it and they wanted to know if you wouldn't mind sharing that presentation deck." I emailed her that presentation, and she ghosted me. A week went by and I tried to email her to check to see if the opportunity is still available. I get an error message saying this email cannot be delivered. I went back on LinkedIn to search for the job. Job posting was gone. She put up the job posting to basically find somebody to do her job. I did her job for her without knowing that I was doing her job because I thought I was going to an interview. She took my video so that she could basically regurgitate my presentation proposal and disappeared. Wow. What would you do if you found out your job interview was just a ruse to steal your work? Let us know down below in the comments. Back in 2015, I applied for a really great job and I had 2 separate internal references for the job. I heard nothing from them until over a year later, in February 2017. They had a 3-stage interview. A sit-down, then a tour of the facility, and then finally a physical test. After completing the last stage of interviewing, I received a call from them saying that they knew they wanted me to start, but are unsure as to when. I asked them how long I could expect to wait till I found out my start date, and they told me 3 to 4 weeks and to inform my current employer. Skip forward to early January 2018, clearly more than 3 to 4 weeks later, and I hadn't heard a word. I even tried calling them a few times to get an answer or clarification, with all my calls either being unanswered or getting no reply to messages. Later, I found out that the reason I was not contacted after being told 3 to 4 weeks was because the operations manager had quietly hired his friend's daughter in place of me, including having her skip the entire interview process. Got ghosted twice by the same company. I wanted to work at a local bank as a teller after high school while I went to my local community college for accounting. I did an over-the-phone interview and then never heard back. About a year later, I thought I would try again. This time I got an in-person interview as I figured this would better my chances. I thought the interview went great and they said they would call me in about a week to tell me if I got the job or not. It's been about 7 months and I still haven't heard back. I actually interned for this company this summer after my junior year of college, and it went so great. During this time, there were really no red flags, other than when they forgot to pay me one time. They told me they'd love to have me back once I graduated and reached out to me again in May of my senior year, asking me to set up a call. During the call, they made it clear that they wanted me to come back, and not to toot my own horn, but in my professional career, I am very good at what I do. They still use the assets that I created during my time as an intern. After this call, they gave me a time frame of when they would reach out again, and I didn't hear back from them for another month. They reached out again in June and we set up another call, and this was supposed to be the final call. They told me they would give a follow-up phone call or have an offer letter to me in my inbox by the end of the week. The call was on Monday. Friday came around, and I had heard nothing back. So then I sent a follow-up email, heard nothing back. Next week rolls around, another follow-up email, and I hear nothing back. Then I finally get an email back asking me for a good phone number, which they already have. Regardless, I gave them my phone number and I still haven't heard anything back. No one's trying to call me, no one else has tried to answer my emails, they just ghosted me. I got ghosted after 9 interviews. Applied online for a position I am perfectly qualified for. A month later, I was reached out to by a recruiter for a phone interview. We seemed to hit it off well. About 3 weeks goes by and I get another call from the same recruiter and do a longer 60-minute screen on prior work history, etc. A week later, I schedule a 30-minute phone interview with the hiring manager. Again, everything seemed to go great. A week later, a panel interview is scheduled with 5 directors and VPs, all for 60-minute sessions. Got great feedback from 4 of the 5 during the interview. 3 days later, I had one final 60-minute interview, which had to be rescheduled on their end. 4 weeks later? Crickets. Tried calling the recruiter at the 2-week mark. Nothing. 10+ hours of interviews, 90+ days of process so far. Total waste of time. But apparently they urgently need someone in the role. 9 interviews is ridiculous. Do you think 9 interviews for just one job is necessary? Let us know in the comments. My fiancé was ghosted after being interviewed by a food service provider in December 2023. He even flew out for an interview. They even canceled an on-site interview because the hiring manager was sick. They were implying that they wanted him to move to another state for this potential role. They told him they would make a decision after his 6th interview. They told him he was a great candidate and led him on to more interviews. It's been 3 weeks since he flew out for this interview. He's been calling and emailing them, but he hasn't heard anything back. I think he's been ghosted. He also lost a lot of paid time off and time doing these interviews. He's devastated. I'm a senior software engineer with 15 years of experience. I had been through 3 interviews for a contractor position with a consulting firm that had been calling me for a while wanting to chat, despite the fact that this was supposed to be a 1 to 2 interview process. I begrudgingly agreed to a 4th and final with the director of engineering because I really liked the idea of the project they were working on. 9 a.m. rolls around, and I join the Zoom call. CEO shows up 15 minutes late, gets a phone call, says hold on, and ends the call. I called back the recruiter after the interview per instructions, and it went straight to voicemail. The recruiter called back on a private line 10 minutes ago to tell me that the director could instantly tell that there's no way someone as young as me could have that much experience and he wasn't going to waste his time with some kid and a fake resume. Mind you, they've seen my face 3 times at this point. I'm almost 40, by the way. I'm not sure whether to be flattered or upset. That was an insane run of employer ghosting stories. Give this video a thumbs up if the thought of being ghosted during the interview process absolutely terrifies you. Thanks for joining us on this crazy ride through some of the most chilling employer ghosting stories out there. We hope these stories have brought a smile to your face and maybe even made you feel a bit better about your own job-seeking adventures. At w.r.a.c Resumes and Connections, we're dedicated to helping you navigate the job market, whether it's through resume writing, interview preparation, or building your professional network. We've already trained over 1,000 students in our free internship program. Help us support 1,000 more by subscribing and joining our community today. Our goal is to support you every step of the way. Stay tuned for more episodes in our Mysteries of the Job Market series, where we'll continue to share the most unbelievable experiences. Your support helps us continue providing internships globally to those who need experience and assists us in opening a location for students, staff, and learners to gain real-world experience. Together, we can turn even the strangest situations into opportunities for growth and success. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.